Hello, 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 everybody. How are you? Welcome, 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 welcome to Shirley's Thread Work, Shirley's Wine Down Tuesday. Good evening to everybody, and thank you for stopping by. I certainly do appreciate it. I want to say hello to everybody and thank you for dropping in. That's in Facebook land and YouTube land, and also for all of you that will be watching the replay. Thank you so much for your support. I do appreciate it. Hi, Robin. Hi, Carol. How are you doing? I trust that you guys had a wonderfully blessed Thanksgiving and everything, and that you enjoyed the holiday. And now you're ready to, to get. Now you're getting ready to get started on the next one that's coming up in just a few weeks. I'm telling you, my word, this year is gone. And you say you wish it was warm. Um, Carol, sorry the weather has been so crazy for so many. Montana has been weirdly warm this past week. Was great for traveling though. Well, that's wonderful that you guys. Well, it's cold here now. Like Robin said, it's cold. We're in Maryland. It is cold. Trust me. Hmm. I went out. Gosh, when did I go out? I went out Friday. Had absolutely no desire to go out. Opened that door and I wanted to run back in, but I had to go out. And but it was some kind of cold, and it still is cold. I don't do well in cold weather at all. I don't like it. My husband hates it. He wants to go back to Florida. I don't want to go, but I understand with the cold weather and all of the people that are up further north because the Northeast is catching it up in New York and Boston and those areas that's quite a bit further up north, getting all of that snow and everything over in Michigan. I mean, it is just rough. I'm just hoping and praying we don't get none of it. The cold is bad enough. I don't want that snow and ice and all of that kind of stuff. But anyway, um, the weather is the weather, and you know it changes. You never ever know what it's going to be like until that time comes because it can be freezing cold one day and scorching hot the next. It's just crazy. Hi, Kingsbury Craft. How are you? And hi, Deborah. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. And as I was mentioning, I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. My Thanksgiving was quiet and peaceful. My daughter did come by and we did have dinner. So everything was fine. Got a chance to talk to my grandson and granddaughter. And of course the um, the boys I call them, but my sons um, were in their respective homes and everything, enjoying their family gathering, and everybody was fine. So Thanksgiving was great, and now I am ready to well, I'm looking forward to Christmas. All of my Christmas things have been brought out of storage, but I must admit I don't have my tree up yet, and I'm usually one that like to have the tree up on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, but um, it won't. It'll be up by the end of the week for sure, but it isn't up yet. But it will be up by the end of the week. I can't let it go any longer than that because that's just not traditional for me because I usually, like I said, have it up right after Thanksgiving and it stays up until after New Year's, and that's pretty much what the routine is. But here lately, as I age, it gets up later and it comes down later. however, however I feel like it. Now, my husband will put it up and my husband will take it down because we don't do real trees. But all of the stuff in between, I got to decorate it. I have to undecorate. So it has to wait until I'm feeling like doing it. And you know, like I said, every year it seems like the time frame changes, and I'm not expecting company for the holidays, so I'm not in that big a hurry. But I do like to have everything decorated and looking nice and everything. So that would be just one of the jobs that I have to complete this week out. Hi, Taisha, and hi, Val. How are you guys doing? Thank you for stopping by. And again, hopefully you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I do hope so. And I know that you're probably getting ready for Christmas and getting all of your projects and everything completed or worked upon or even begun or what have you, holiday shopping. I don't do a lot of holiday shopping anymore, which is really, really nice because I don't know if a lot of people go out in the mall anymore. Anyway, but I can't remember the last time I've been out in the mall. I don't do the holiday shopping out in the mall. Everybody shops online. Yeah. But yeah, and I don't have to do a lot of shopping this year, so that's good as well. I don't have to do all that hustle and bustle. It was fun many years ago. It is not fun anymore. And especially if this weather stays as cold as it is now, mm-mm, I'm not the one. I'm not the one. Hi, Ann. How are you? Um, okay. Well, let me tell you what's up. Tonight we're going to talk about maintenance on your machine. It's almost the end of the year. And if you're anything like me, you've probably been trying to wrap up all of the stuff that you wanted to get done by the end of the year, or at least by Christmas and everything. And then so you can start the new year off fresh with new ideas, new projects and what have you. And that means you got to make sure that your machine is running well. And the best way to do that is to take care of and maintain it. Um, and you say you're embroidering and quilting. We are embroider and quilters and crafters and many gifts to make and give. That is true. And that's the reason why you got to make sure that this machine is running well. And I have to tell you, what made me think about this topic was issues with my own machine. As you guys probably remember, back in, I believe it was in March of this year, my machine had a little hiccup and it wouldn't work for a minute until I got the technician to come out here and fix it. It wasn't anything serious, but it was something that I could not do myself. And it had nothing to do with maintaining the machine. It just happened to be a needle broke, got in the wrong spot, and it just made the machine decide it didn't want to do anything until it came and got the needle tip out of the place that it wasn't supposed to be. Well, after that, machine was running perfectly fine, no issues. I was very cautious for a minute, uh, a little nervous. You know how you kind of get shell shocked or whatever, because I was like, oh, I don't want to do anything that's going to make this machine act up. And then you get your groove back and everything gets back to normal and you do your same old thing. Well, I would say about a month ago, don't know. Yes, I do. I know what happened. And it's part of what I want to talk about as far as your machine being taken care of and everything. I was been doing a lot of screen embroidering on screens and making all of those cute designs on the screen and framing it and selling them and what have you, decorating and all of that. And I had done that, plus I had done some more embroidery. And I know that it was time to change my needles because I try to change the needles as often as possible. I don't do it daily. I don't even do it weekly. I do it based upon how much usage I have of the machine. And I usually do them all at once unless I know that I've only been using certain needles more than others. Then I'll just change those needles, especially if I see some type of sign indicating that that needle needs to be changed. But I think I'm pretty diligent on changing my needles. So, like I said, about a month ago, I was changing all of my needles, all 10 of the needles, and got them all changed, getting ready to do um, one of the projects that I think I was getting ready to do the uh, the hanging the Christmas the wall hanging project. I think that's what I was getting ready to do, or I was finishing it up or something. But anyway, I know I needed fresh needles, so I got all the way through needle 1 through 9. Then when I got to needle 10, I inserted the needle and was tightening it, and obviously I tightened it a little bit too tight. And I had heard through the grapevine somewhere that if you tighten the needle too tight, you can kind of mess it up, mess up the bar or whatever. And honestly, I did hear something click, pop, or whatever. I heard a little noise. And I was like, "Ooh, what was that?" And the needle was still in there and everything. And I was like, oh, I don't know what happened. So then I just kind of looked and it looked like the needle was out of place. It looked like it was going to hit the oppressor foot coming down. And I took it out and tried to finagle it and everything to see if it was going to recenter and whatever, even turn it off, whatever, whatever. It didn't happen. So I tried to thread it, could not thread it. The threader would not thread it. It just went bonkers and everything. I said, oh my goodness, this is messed up. So I have not used needle 10 since then. And I did get in touch with Justin, the machine technician, and I asked him, was there anything that I could do to fix it? And he said, well, the only thing I can think of right now is to go ahead and change the needle again and see if that works. If that doesn't work, then he said he'll probably have to come out here and change the needle bar, which I'm pretty sure, unfortunately, that's going to be the case. So I'm moving right along with 9 needles, no big deal. Life goes on. So yesterday was a month later, time to change. Again, I'm working on projects and stuff, and I'm noticing, the little skips here and there and everything. I said, okay, it's time to change all the needles because I hadn't changed them in a while. And I changed all the needles, and when I got to I changed needle 1 and 2. Got to needle 3, changed it, and then I noticed that it looked like it was out of place. And I didn't screw it on too tight because I've been very cautious with that. I'll tighten it, and then I'll take my little pliers and stuff and kind of pull on the needle a little bit to see if it's going to come out of place. And if it doesn't, then I think it's tight enough. So I don't really just put a whole lot of, strength into it. And I put it in correctly. And actually, it worked. So I went on and put in all my needles, needle 1 through 9, and started my project. And it was stitching along just fine. And it was when I got to the point where I had to use number 3 needle, it stitched well. But in the process of stitching, don't know why it happened. All of a sudden, I heard this pop, and I said, "Oh my goodness, my needle broke." And I said, "Oh my, this is needle number 3." And so, of course, the first thing I got worried about was the the point. Where did it go? And luckily, I found it. It did not go into the machine because I couldn't find it at first, and I instantly got my brush and I got my vacuum, and I started brushing and vacuuming and everything to see. Hopefully, it didn't go up in the crazy place. And the machine was still moving. All the maintenance mechanicals were moving, so I know it wasn't in the same condition that it had happened before. Because when it happened before, when I had to have Justin come out, the machine wouldn't do anything. It would move. I couldn't get the bar to move. I couldn't do anything. I didn't have that issue with needle number 3 last night. And luckily, as blind as I am, I found that tip. So I said, oh, good. It didn't go into the machine. Here's the tip. And so I was thinking in the back of my mind, that needle was out of place, but it worked. So I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. But I put the needle in again, and I even got my magnifying glass to look to see, is this my imagination or is it really off center? Sure enough, it's off center. So I tried to thread it just in case, just in case my eyes weren't seeing it correctly, it wouldn't thread. So I said, oh, yep, it's out of place. So now you probably can see it a little bit. You might see a little blue dot on my machine. Well, that's a sticky note that I've stuck up there uh, saying, do not use needle 3 or 10. So I remind myself, needle number 3 and needle number 10 are out of commission. So now I've gone from 10 to 9 to 8. I have 8 usable needles right now until I can get Justin back out here because I am almost certain that bar is going to have to be changed. So all of that prompted me to think about the maintenance that goes on with your machine. And then you say you hope it's still under warranty. No, because I called brother uh, several months ago, and I specifically asked about warranty. And I was under the impression, and maybe it's under warranty with the company I bought it from, the store I bought it from, because I was under the impression it said 5 years, and I haven't had my machine 5 years. So, but according to brother, the machine is on cover. The machine itself is covered for a year as far as maintenance and labor. Now you got the chassis, motors, and other situations going on with the machine that has a much longer life warranty. But what they call minor routine stuff that goes out, they only cover that for a year. Over that, it's not. So I will, um, if it's going to be something that is terribly expensive to fix, like the needle bar costs $1 zillion, then I'll have to check and see. I might even call just to see, am I still under warranty and is that covered? If that's the case, I don't know. Because I don't have any idea what it's going to cost, but it looks like it's going to be two needle bars that have to be changed. Now, when they call them the presser foot, not the bar, but the presser foot. So it might be totally different than the bar itself. It's just the attachment to the bar may have to be changed. And that may not be terribly expensive because in preparation for talking to you guys about maintenance, I pulled out my manual. And I don't know how many of us actually look at our manuals, but you need to have your manuals handy and you need to look in it every once in a while. And I looked up the maintenance for the machine, and in it, I found the area where it says that the needle is hitting the bar and all that kind of stuff. And it can happen. It can happen. It said there may be some burrs or some kind of indentation or something that occurs just through wear and tear on the pressure foot itself that may mean you have to change the pressure foot. It's not a big deal. It's no different than having to change out the needle threader and stuff like that because I've had my needle threader changed since I've had my machine. And I've only had my machine like 3.5 years. So, um, and I think I had to have the needle threader changed after I had the machine like maybe 4 or 5 months, and it needed to be changed. No charge. Thank goodness I didn't pay for it. It was obviously still under warranty. I just had to take it in. The gentleman changed it. It was such a quick job and brought it home. So no big deal. I really have not had to spend any money on my machine other than routine maintenance. So I was getting a little upset with, okay, got your machine paid for. Now it's acting up. And then I started thinking, I said, it's a machine. It's no different than any other machine. Machines have wear and tear. And the more you use it, the more wear and tear you're going to have on that machine. And it's not going to be unusual to have to replace parts and stuff like that occasionally. That's why it's extremely important that we do pay attention to our machines and keep them maintained so we don't have to change parts too frequently and maybe not even ever. You know, some people may not ever have to change any parts. But if you do, don't really get too bent out of shape. You know, I know you're going to be upset like me because, you know, you think about the money, you think about the fact that you can't use the machine and all those kinds of things if these things happen. But you have to put it into reality and understand that it is a machine. And machines break down, wear out, need routine repairs and what have you, just like your car, just like a refrigerator, dishwasher, a stove, anything repairs in your home. That's just part of a purchase of anything, anything mechanical. So that's my thought process on that. And I am happy that I still have use of my machine and I can still do what I need to do. I'm just down from 10 needles to 8 needles, no big deal. You just adjust everything and keep going. So I just wanted to tell you guys the thing that I do want to make very clear is that we have to be careful with how we handle our machines and specifically when you are changing your needles, be it a brother or any other machine that you have to screw and all of that, you have to be very careful. It tells you in the manual not to screw it too tightly because you can cause damage. It says it in the book. I had heard about it and I looked at it today and it specifically says that if you tighten and screw too tight, you can potentially damage the needle bar, the presser foot, or however they state it, but it can be damaged. So be very careful with that. It's a thin line between getting it tight enough where the needle doesn't fall out and then having it too tight where you hurt something. And I'm looking to see if I can actually find that passage that talks about it. Okay, in my manual that I have, I don't know if you guys can see it, the operation manual for the brother machine. Here it is. Okay. Well, anyway, it's on 177 at the top, and it says, "Do not apply extreme force when loosening or tightening the needle set screw. Otherwise, the machine may be damaged." So keep that in mind. It says so in the book. So it's a delicate process that you have to get it tight enough where the needle doesn't fall out and not too tight. Even when I talked to Justin said, "Well, that should have made a difference, but it does." I don't know why he said that, but it does. It does make a difference. If you tighten it too tight, you can damage it. It says so in the book. And yeah, Kara, I hate looking for needle pieces too, but I always try because you want to know where that piece went for several reasons. Hopefully, it didn't go into the machine somewhere because that's where your problems are. And Taisha, you said we should not tighten the needles on our machine very tight at all. Just screw it with your hand and check often to make sure the needles don't become loose. Well, I only screw it with my hand with the screwdriver that comes with it. That I think it's called Allen wrench or whatever. That's all I use. I mean, you have to use that apparatus to get it unscrewed and screwed back. I don't screw it with anything else. But what I'm saying is when you know you want to make sure that it's tight enough where the needle doesn't fall out during the process of stitching because that causes issues too. Because if it breaks or falls out, it can go up into the machine and damage it, like what happened when I had to have the machine actually repaired. So you want to make sure it's tight enough. But then on the flip side of that, you don't want to tighten it too tight because, again, like what I'm almost positive happened to needle number 10, is I tightened it too tight because I honestly heard something pop. Don't know what that is. It's not the casing that the needle went in because I have a needle in there now and it's in it. It's just that it's misaligned. That's the issue. It's not like whatever the casing is that the needle goes in to hold it in place is issue. It's misaligned. Some kind of way it has gotten misaligned, and the needle is not going straight down the center of the presser foot where the hole is. It is tilted over a little bit to the side where the needle hits the side of the presser foot bar. So that's the issue. It becomes misaligned. And I don't know if it can be realigned without switching it out, or you actually have to put a new presser foot on it. I don't know. I think it says on here somewhere where I was reading, it did say that you would have to put a new presser bar in here. And it does says use the Allen screwdriver to turn the needle set screw clockwise. So, we all know that. Caution, be sure to insert the needle in the needle bar chamber until it reaches the needle bar stopper and securely tighten the needle set screw with the Allen screwdriver. Otherwise, the needle may break or the machine may be damaged. If the needle is not fully inserted, the hook of the automatic needle threading mechanism will not pass through the eye of the needle. Perhaps that's why I was making that noise during automatic needle threading, and the hook may bend or the needle cannot be threaded. If the hook of the automatic needle threading machine is bent or damaged, then contact your dealer, and that's when you're going to end up having to get a new threader. And I know that that's not uncommon. I've heard of a lot of people having to have their needle threader replaced. You can do it yourself because there's people on YouTube that says they've done it. It's simple, no big deal. Me personally, I'm not going to do it. I'm not even going to try to do it, but it can be done. But like I said, you if you had the situation that happened to me, I'm almost positive that when Justin comes out here, he's going to tell me I'm going to have to replace those needle bars because pressure foot, not the bar per se, probably just the pressure foot because it is misaligned some kind of way where the needle does not go straight through the hole like it's supposed to. It actually kind of comes right on the tip side of the needle where it hits the bar, and you can't stitch that way. So that's what happened, and that's what's going on. So just want to do some reminders. I have two videos on my channel that talks about maintaining your machine. One I did when I was still living in Florida, and the machine was really new to me and everything. And so what I was learning, I was telling everybody about. So if you want to, and I go through, I actually visually show you how to maintain it and where to oil it and all that kind of stuff. So if anybody's interested in seeing that, you can check that out. Anybody out there in Facebook and YouTube land or what have you that are relatively new to your machines and stuff, you can check that out. Then I have another video that I did when I had my machine repaired back in late March of this year when the technician actually came out. And I talked to you guys about the 10 different tips that he mentioned to me. And I'm going to reiterate that as well as the other information that I told you about what I read in the book. And in the back of the book, in your manual, and this will go for any machine that you have. I'm specifically talking about my machine, the brother machine, but any machine that you have, whether it is a multi-needle or a single needle and of any brand, it came with a manual. And if it didn't come with a manual or you don't have your manual, I'm 100% positive that you can go online and find it. You can go to the company because you can go to Brothers and you can download it. You probably could go to Racoma, you can go to Melco, you can go with whoever machine that you have and go onto their website, and I'm pretty sure that you can download that manual or either just look up what it is that you're looking for. So you do have access to a manual that can tell you what you need to be doing as far as maintenance is concerned. And I want to highly encourage all of us to look at that occasionally just for reminders because we tend to get lax when we're comfortable with our machines and we get into habits that may not be correct or the best. And the other thing that I noticed just kind of preparing for tonight, looking at some different videos, you may be listening to people tell you to do things that aren't 100% correct. It's just what they've been doing, but it's not what the book says to do. And one of the things I will clarify when I go through this list. So when Justin came out, he told me the the first thing that I mentioned was the white felt that is on your needle bar at the top. And I had been told, and it is in the, well, clarification about what's in the book. Oiling is in the book. Justin told me not to oil the white felt because it can end up disintegrating. And there's no way to replace it without replacing the bar. You can't take it loose, put that on, you have to replace the whole thing. So he said, do not oil the white felt. That's what he said. Now, I had been told that you are supposed to do that every 40 to 50 hours. Lo and behold, that is not true. Let me tell you what the manual says, and this is on page 179. Oiling the needle bars, not the felt, oiling the needle bars. Um, from the embroidery screen, select one needle bar at a time, and it shows you how to do it. And rotate the hand wheel towards the LCD and all that stuff. You pull the bar down. You put one drop of oil as high as possible on the needle bar above the felt washer. So that's the difference. No, you do not oil the washer. And I had been told you put the oil on the white felt washer. And that is not true. Justin said it is not true. What the book says, the manual says you do the bar above the washer. So yes, you are supposed to oil it, and it says apply one drop of oil on the lower needle bar above the felt washer every 40 to 50 hours of embroidery time. That is how it's supposed to be done. Only use machine oil and do not apply too much, because too much oil is just as bad as no oil. So you have to be careful with that. So I just want to clarify that part as well to make sure that we get correct information. Because again, I was looking at a video today from a dealer that was talking about how to maintain your machine, your brother machine, 6 and 10 needle machine. And he said to oil the felt. No, you don't. The book doesn't say that. So I encourage everybody to look at your book so you'll do it the correct way. Because, believe it or not, you can end up voiding your warranty if they find out that you're doing stuff that is not in the manual. And what is that? Ignorance is not an excuse for the law. Ignorance is not an excuse for uh, voiding your warranty because you didn't know what you was doing was wrong. And Carol, you said we all need adjusting in our life. Yes, it is. It's really, how much I appreciate the fact that there's someone that can actually come to your home, or someone that is nice enough to answer the phone. Because I actually spoke to him. I didn't, and I told him when I called him, I said, I'm not bringing you out right now because we're getting close to maintenance time again. And I'm just asking you for advice if it's something I can do. And if it's not, then we'll do it when it's time for you to come in and work on it. Because I don't have the money for all these back-to-back trips and stuff. So I'm good for now. Hopefully nothing else happens. But anyway, that was about the felt. So keep that in mind. You do the bar just above the um, the felt. The other thing is, as we know, you do oil down in the bobbin casing. There's a button that you push when you're getting ready to oil, and there's an outline that shows you how to oil it on the side. Now, Justin says you don't have to necessarily do it on the side. You can do it on the lip in the front, which is true. You can, because either way it goes, the mechanic of the bobbin area is going to turn back and forth and lubricate that oil. Because sometimes when I put my oil on it, I will move the thing a couple of times just to make sure that the oil evenly distributes, and also that helps to make sure in case I put too much oil, if the drop was too big, that the oil is not going to seep down on my project. So that's what I do, but that's only once a day. However, your machine is going to alert you every time you turn it on, every day you turn it on, to don't forget to oil the bobbin. But they are referring to if you used it for 8 hours. If you haven't used your machine for 8 hours, say for instance, you turn the machine on and you stitch one thing that only took you 30 minutes to stitch or whatever, and you don't have to do it again until don't use your machine again until the next day, you are perfectly okay with not oiling that bobbin again. Because as I mentioned a minute or so ago, oiling it too much is just as dangerous as not oiling it at all. So you have to be careful with that. Just kind of use your common sense. With me, if I make several projects during a day, whether it's 8 hours or not, yes, I'm going to oil my machine the next day that I turn it on. If I turn my machine on and I make one little monogram on a napkin or something, I'm not going to oil it the next day again because it hasn't really been used, really. It hasn't, what, 10,000 stitches maybe? No, that doesn't require oiling again. But when you've done several projects, especially the kinds of projects that I do, where I'm doing 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 stitches per project sometime, and I'm doing two or three of them, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of stitching. So yeah, it needs to be oiled again. So just keep that in mind. Also, he mentioned about bobbin cases. Use genuine brother bobbin cases. Now, that I would recommend for any machine that you have, whatever casing or case, bobbin case came with your machine, you should make sure you have at least an extra one just in case. And as Justin was saying, if you keep it brushed up and everything, because every time, now that's one thing I do when every day I get my brush and I brush out my inside of my bobbin casing and all of that kind of stuff. If I've done a lot of stitching, not only will I brush it out, I get my vacuum and try to suck it out. And if I think that it was really a lot, like if I've been doing quilting and stuff like that, where I got the batten and a lot of thread and stuff, I will go ahead and take the needle plate off and check and see if that needs to be cleaned. I don't take it off every day, but I do take it off often because that can cause the stitching to be bad. So I do check that, but I brush it every day and I vacuum it if I think it needs to be vacuumed. I don't vacuum it every day. Now, back to getting misinformation. I don't want to say bad, but misinformation. This same person that I was looking at that was talking about maintenance, he started off his whole conversation about maintaining the machine. He said, here's the equipment that you need, the tool. He brought out his little oil uh, stick. He brought out he called it a crooked screwdriver, whatever screwdriver that you need to get up under there to take the needle plates off. And he brought out a can of air. And I was like, no, you didn't. Because we all know you don't use canned air on your machine. Now, this was his justification. He said, don't blow the air back. You can blow it to the side. So you're blowing whatever it is that you're blowing off away and not back. I'm not using canned air at all. I bought canned air when I first got my machine because I had heard use canned air. And I bought canned air. And I was like, When somebody told me, I said, no, uh, this is wrong. When I looked at the video, I said, don't tell people to use canned air, period. Because you're not supposed to, because you can blow all that dust and dirt and grime and lint and thread and stuff up into your machine. Because if you've ever seen a naked machine, and I may even I have pictures. I thought about making a slide so you guys could see the pictures. I think I'm gonna do that and show it next week. So if you guys, I'm gonna have to remind myself. Somebody remind me to show the pictures of my naked machine. Hey Margot, how you doing? How you doing? And thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh my goodness, I got my early Christmas present. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Margot. And But back to what I was saying is that you don't want to do anything that's going to cause more damage to your machine. And from what I've been told, and I do believe, the canned air can cause that issue because if you see your machine bare, when you take all the plastic off, all the skin, as I say, and you're looking at your naked machine, you see all of this mechanics. You see all the mechanics. You see the circuit boards. You see the wiring. You see the tubings. You see the metal stuff. Everything. You see it all. And he gets in there and vacuums all of that stuff out, and then he gets his oil and slather it and all of that kind of stuff and checks everything. But you can see where that care and air can just force all of that stuff up in there, and then it probably could cause a lot of damage, especially if you're doing a lot of stitching and you end up pushing a lot up in there. Because you never know how much junk has been accumulated. Perfect example, the other day, I was working on my jazz. I got a jazz, Baby Lock Jazz 2, and I was stitching something. Oh yeah, I had been making these little blankets for my great grandkids, and of course, you got the batting and all that kind of stuff. But I'm thinking to myself, it's new, no big deal. It's nothing going on. And I had a bird nest. And so naturally, I had to take the needle plate off to alleviate that. And I was shocked to see how much gunk was up in it. And I haven't had the machine that long. And I haven't used it that much, in my opinion. But it had a lot of lint and dust and stuff. Well, no, I won't say dust, but a lot of lint and fabric and batting or whatever up in there that I didn't even think that would be the case. So a lot of that stuff gets accumulated into your machine. So we do put a lot of wear and tear on the machines. Um, bobbin and the tension. Justin also mentioned that if you clean your bobbin out, the bobbin casing, and that's the silver thing that you actually put the bobbin in. If you use a business card and go up in there, that little slot where you put the thread, loop the thread, then you most likely don't have to adjust the tension on it, which I think is a good idea because he was saying you can kind of warp it and you can just get the tension all off kilter and you probably won't ever get it back right. You end up with having to get a new bobbin casing. You're supposed to tighten it or loosen it based upon your need. I've never done that. I've never felt the need to do that. And maybe one of the reasons is I also always use magnetic bobbins. I have black ones and white ones, and I also have some red ones now. And you can go on Amazon and you can get them. Field Tech, the same people that do the black and white ones, sell little jars. I think it's like 20 bobbins in it, and it runs you anywhere from $16 to $20 a jar of various colors. So if you do a lot of different colors, especially if you do freestanding lace and stuff like that, where you want your top and your bottom to be the same, then you can make that investment and get the magnetic ones. Now you also can buy colored bobbins, L bobbins that fit our machines. Those of us that have the commercial machines that um, come in various colors, but they're not magnetic. I have some of those as well. That's the only time I use bobbins that are not magnetic is when I'm using colored bobbins for whatever reason that I have where I want my top thread and my bottom thread to match or match as close as possible because I want to make sure that we have, like I said, top and bottom. If I'm doing freestanding lace or if I'm doing something where I know they're going to see the back just like the front, and it's important for it to look uniform. But other than that, I always use magnetic bobbins, either black magnetic bobbins or white ones. I get the big box full of them. And I kind of chuckled when I was looking at my old video that I did when I was in Florida about 3 years ago doing maintenance. And I was talking about buying Field Tech magnetic bobbins off of Amazon, which I still do. And I said, you get a box of 144, right around $36. And I chuckled because I said, you can't do that now. You're going to get a box of 100 for about $47 the last time I looked and bought a box. That's what they were. And if you go to like All Brand, All Stitch, or someplace like that, Sewing Plus online and Sewing Parts online or Sewing Machine Plus or whatever those places are. And I shop at all of them. And the bobbins run about the same. You're going to pay close to $50 for a box of them. And I think there's only 100 in a box. But yet and still, I still get them. They're worth it for me to use magnetic bobbins. Now, if you don't get magnetic bobbins, you certainly can't get them cheaper than that. But if you use magnetic bobbins, and you know what? I just thought about it. Maybe those bobbins that I was talking about that was 144 for $36 were not magnetic. I think that's what it was. Because I think about it now, um, that I wasn't using magnetic bobbins at that time. I hadn't been advised to do so. And yes, Carol, they are 60 weight bobbins. Um, okay. Here is a jar. As you can see the L. So the L and Magna Glide L, and they are um, there's 20 in here, 72 yards, and they are 60 weight because they're bobbin thread. It's bobbin thread, so it's 60 weight. And the same with this is the ones that I was saying that you can get the various colors, and you can see I've been using them because some of them are gone. So you get a lot of different colors. And this was like 10, $11. Wasn't very expensive at all. Plastic size L, and it's 60 weight, 25 assorted colors. So this is what I buy. I bought this and I bought this. These are magnetic. These are not magnetic, but they work well. These are magnetic in the jar. These are not. And I got them both off of Amazon. And you can get different colors of jars like this. And you see it's a jar full of red. And these are the only color ones that I got in magnetic. But I'm going to get several more colors like that. But I get them all off of Amazon. And yes, they are uh, 60 weight bobbin thread. And they work really well. I'm very happy with them. Okay. Top tension. There's two lines on your top tension. Now, on my other video, I wasn't aware about anything about the tension, and I have to be honest about I don't adjust my tension on my machine. Justin told me what to do. You have to get eye level. Don't be over it or under it. You need to stand where you're going to be eye level with the tension um, rack. And you want to make sure that you can see at least two lines. There's several lines when you're going around. There's several lines, and you can twist it one way, tightens it, and twist the other. I think if you go clockwise, it tightens it, and counterclockwise, it loosens the tension. And therefore, you can adjust the tension for your thread, for your needle, or whatever it is you're doing. And I'm not saying that you can't do it or shouldn't do it because oftentimes, depending upon the thread that you're using, as well as the material and stuff that you're stitching on, may need to have it adjusted. But so far, I've not had to do it, so I haven't done it. Hopefully, I won't have to do it. And I have to. I think I've tinkered with it just a little bit, but the little bitty twist that I've done probably doesn't amount to anything as far as tension adjustment. He also mentioned if you don't use your machine regularly, it can get stuck or frozen. So for those of you, because I'm not going to say those of us, because I use my machine almost every day, at least every week. For those of you that are out there that may not use your machine often, and it just sits because you're afraid of it, which I don't understand, that's not good. He said you need to fire up your machine at least every other week. At least. That's the minimum. If you don't do anything but stitch um, an initial or something, you need to get those mechanisms moving. It's just like if you have a car, and I always try to use a car as an analogy because most of us understand cars and the maintenance that are necessary. If you have a car, and say for instance, you don't drive a lot, you don't go anywhere, but you still have your car. If you don't go out there and start that car up, and I know you've been told you need to go out there and start that car up, let it run for a little while. It's been sitting there and ain't nobody driving. That's why you don't want it to lock up. You want that motor to you want to move it. You want to get that oil moving around in that machine, so you don't want everything to freeze up, get stuck, and dry up and stuff. Same thing about your machine. It's a machine. Like I said when I first got on here, it's a machine, and we have to treat it like that. It is a computerized machine that needs to be maintained, and there are certain expectations in maintaining your machine, and one of them is to oil it. That's what's important. You need to use your machine. The more you use your machine, a lot of people, I know some people that don't want to use the machine. They don't want to put too many hours on it. They don't want to put too many stitches on. And I like, as much money as you pay for that machine, that blasted. Why not? It's just like being in a house that you bought a nice, beautiful home, but you don't want to move around in the house. You just want to stay still because you want your house to look like it did when you first bought it. I don't want to use the lights, and I don't want to use this, that, and the other because I want it to stay new. No, no. You bought this house to be comfortable. You bought this machine to make things and to use. Use your machine. Turn it on and do something. Go sew something, like Becky Thompson says. Go sew something. Like Alexa said, make something pretty. I got to come up with my words, my own thing. And Carol said they cost about as much as a car. They do. And you're not gonna go to a dealer and get a car, be it brand new or used, and just let it sit because it's pretty and you want it to stay pretty. I don't want to drive it. It's still got that new car smell, and I don't want to drive it because it's a nice new car. Well, why you spend all that money on that car and you're not gonna use it? Why you spend all that money on that machine and you're not gonna use it? Get in there and fire it up, see what it'll do. Just like people fire up them cars and see how fast it'll go. How can you go from 0 to 60? Or 0 to 160 seconds, or however that those movies are, whatever it is, you need to use your machine. Uh, Maintenance frequency. Now we all have been told. I've said it. I've heard it. You need to get your machine made maintenance once a year, every 12 months. Now I found out looking in my manual. I didn't know this. The machine will give you a message telling you it is time for it to be for maintenance. A message will come up saying it's time for maintenance on your machine. I never knew that. I've never seen it because obviously I'm getting it done before that happened. But I'm looking at it and it's on page 179, and it says about the maintenance message, and it shows you It has an exclamation mark, and it says preventive maintenance is recommended. Big old sign. Once this message appears, it is recommended to take your machine to your nearest authorized brother dealer for a regular maintenance checkup. Although this message will disappear and the machine will continue to function when you touch OK, the message will display several more times until the appropriate maintenance is performed. Please take the time to arrange for the maintenance that your machine requires once this message appears. Such steps will help to ensure you receive continued, uninterrupted hours of machine operation for the future. Did you guys know that? I did not know that. I did not know that. I've never seen it, obviously, because I've had my machine maintained. I'm not going to say I've done it every 12 months, but I've done it between a year and a half for my machine. I've had my machine 3.5 years, and I've had it uh, serviced twice. So, yeah, that's about a year and a half average. Not necessarily, because when I took it in to get the threader thing fixed, then they looked at it and stuff. Then I took it in after I moved from Florida here. I took it to a dealer after I had been here for several months. I did that. And then it was coming up time for maintenance again when it clowned on me. And Justin came out and he did the maintenance on it. And it's coming up now. The maintenance was done. Um, the maintenance was done in March, I believe. So it will be due again in March, but I may have him look at it maybe January, February. It'll be sometime after the holidays for sure when I have him come out here and check it out and get my other two needles up and running. That's my plan. But it won't be during the holiday time because we ain't gonna flow like that. We're not gonna flow like that, but as long as it's still usable, and like I said, I have my little note on there, so I'm not gonna forget that I can't use needle 3 and needle 10, which I won't forget anyway. And actually, I took the needles out before. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take the needles out. Therefore, I know I won't forget because there won't be no needle in there. USB port. This is very important. If you don't have a dongle in your um, machine USB port, I highly, highly stress that you buy one and put it in your machine. I did not have one. I was constantly taking my USB port in and out, and I noticed that there were times that I would have difficulty with it being read. I do now think it was the USB stick itself because I think it was a cheaper brand. But regardless, I spoke to Justin about it, and Justin says that the USB port is connected all to the LCD panel. So if that goes out, you got to replace the whole panel, and that is not cheap. So he recommended, which I do have, a dongle. I bought, it's not the short one, but I wrapped it because there's a place in the back that kind of looks like those wrapping things that's on your back of your vacuum cleaner when you're wrapping your cord on there. Well, that is on the back of the machine, and I took the one that I bought from Amazon. I wrapped it around there, and I just have a little bit of it sticking out. And this is what I put my USB port in and out. Now, what I think I'm going to go ahead and do is start trying. Well, I'm supposed to be able to do it anyway, but start sending it wirelessly to my machine and then just start saving designs on the machine. I have a few on there. I don't have a lot. But I think that's what I'm going to do, start saving my designs to my, send it wirelessly and save it on the machine so I can kind of save that USB port. Because I don't want to have to pay for attention for no LCD panel. The other thing we talked about in the past when we talked about doing caps, hats, and using hoop tech uh, capping system. They have this little apparatus that tricks the machine so you can get your stitching on your cap closer to the brim, because there is a safety mechanism on our machine that if you use a brother capping system on our machine, you can't get maybe an inch to an inch and a half to the brim. You can't get all the way down like a half inch or an eighth of an inch to a brim with our capping system. It won't allow it. But with the Hoop Tech tricking device, you can. Justin does not recommend that we do that, and he said that get you can uh, get the machine take the calibration away. The calibration will be off if you continue to do that with the machine. I have never done it. I've thought about doing it. I thought about getting a hooping system. I really would like to have it because I would like to be able to do that, especially if I ever thought about selling hats. I haven't thought about it mainly because I know I cannot get it close to the brim, and that's what people like. I don't mind where it ends for my own personal use, but most men like for their designs to be as close to the brim as possible so they can have a full top of whatever it is. We can get a large design. I think it can get up to 4 inches or 4.5 inches tall and 5 inches across, which I think is pretty big for a hat design. And we can do that with our hat system. We just cannot get it all the way down to the brim where you probably could get a 5 or 6 inch design. I don't need all of that. What I get is plenty for me, so I don't have a problem with it. But from what I've been told, I don't sell hats, so I don't know for a fact. I've never had a gentleman tell me this, other than Bill that used to come on here mentioned it because he and I talked about that a lot. But he does not recommend that you use that mechanism to trick your machine so you can bypass its safety mechanism, and that would be with anything, even when you're doing regular stitch work and stuff. You do not want to mess with the calibration on your machine. And he also mentioned don't force your machine. Don't try to make it do something it doesn't want to do. If it's not, just like when my machine went out of whack and I tried to get the bar to come up, and I did try to turn the wheel in the back and it would not move. I said, okay. I didn't force it. I tried to turn it. It wouldn't move. I was done. When it first messed up, I tried to hit the buttons. It wouldn't do anything. I turned it off, turned it back on. It wouldn't do anything. I unplugged it, plugged it back, turned it on. It wouldn't do anything. It started making all that crazy noise, crazy noise. I was done. I said, I've done everything that I can do. I know this machine is beyond me fixing it. So I'm not going to do anything. So I let the baby sit there until somebody that knew what they were doing came and looked at it. I was done. I had somebody that messaged me in communication comments on my channel and told me about they had the same situation happen to their machine and this is how they corrected it and so forth and so on, and they were spot on, but I wasn't going to do it. And I told the person, I said, thank you for the information, I do appreciate it, and but I'm not comfortable with messing with it myself. My husband had even said, you want me to take a loose? Nope, 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 nope. I don't want you taking nothing to loose. Because if I had taken the cover off of it and saw that stuff in the inside, I probably would faint. Like, oh my word. Nope, nope, not gonna do that. So my advice then as well as now, let the pro work on your machines. Don't do anything that you don't know what you're doing. Now, you do what you want to do, but I'm just saying, you don't want to do anything that's going to void your warranty. That's number one. And number two, you don't want to make it worse because that's what Justin was saying. If you go in there and do something with the machine and it doesn't fix the machine, it may make the machine worse than what it was, then he or whomever has to figure out what you did and fix that part and then try to get to what the initial problem was. So you talking about double jeopardy there. And you may damage something to the point where you actually do need parts. I didn't need a part. It was a simple fix. Took less than 2 minutes to fix. I didn't need to, I think he couldn't have been here a whole total of 30 minutes when he came out here working on my machine, taking it apart, cleaning it up and everything, putting it back together, checking to make sure that everything was correct. He did all stitching on all 10 and then looked at my SE 1900 because my threader wouldn't work. And he sat down and fixed that before I could turn around and look at him. He was here in and out of my house and within a 30-minute time frame. I mean, it was that quick. It didn't take him hardly any time to fix my machine. So it wasn't anything that was it was serious because the machine didn't work. But it wasn't serious to the point where it had to have a whole lot of work done on it. So that's covering everything that he had mentioned. I wanted to reiterate. And what I did, I also looked at, since we have multiple machines, most of us, and I'm thinking about you, Taisha. I remember asking you, you reminded me, asking the question about why you have so many machines because she has several machines. I didn't stop and think about I have several machines as well. I have a total of 5 machines and didn't even realize I have 2 embroidery machines, 2 sewing machines, and a serger. And that doesn't count my other crafting machines that I have, sublimation and rhinestones and heat stuff, heating press and all that stuff. So yeah, got a lot of stuff and no room. No room. You got your heat press, you got your tumbler press, you got your cup press, you got your sublimation machine, you got your. I mean, it's stuff. I'm just looking around. You got the brother cutting stand, you got the cricket. It's just too much stuff. Do you hear me? It's in the little room. It was too much stuff. It's amazing. It is amazing. But we have them. And since we have them, they all have to be maintained as well. You can't just take care of the one that you use the most if you use any of them. So I decided I have a brother SE 1900 and I have a Baby Lock Celebrate Surgery. So I checked to see what has to be done as far as maintenance on those machines. Now, the one thing that I want to mention, and listening to Jeanette one day, I remember her talking about, I think Justin came out to see her a few weeks ago, and she had several of her machines done. Uh, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, she mentioned her SE 1900. When he checked it, she found out that she had a whole pool of oil at the bottom. Because she would oil her machine. I don't know if she oiled the machine every day or whatever. And Justin told her, oh, no, 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 you don't do that. I looked in the book. Now, I knew this. And I don't remember, and I have my manual for my brother uh SE 1900. Is hard to see. I tell you, this lighting can get crazy. But anyway, whatever it is, it's a brother. There you go. It's my brother SE 100 embroidery sewing machine manual. Looked in the maintenance area, troubleshooting, maintenance and troubleshooting. I tell you, and as big as day, one of the first, matter of fact, chapter 1, care and maintenance. The very first statement on this page, A2, restrictions on oiling. In order to prevent damaging this machine, it must not be oiled by the user. Now, I and I didn't buy this machine from a dealer, so a dealer didn't tell me. I'm trying to think. I probably heard it from a YouTube uh, content creator or somebody, because I did look at a lot of videos when I first got, even before I got my embroidery machine, my SE 1900, because I wanted to know how to use an embroidery machine because I never had one to use. And so I already knew you're not supposed to oil it. But it said this machine was manufactured with the necessary amount of oil applied to ensure correct operation, making periodic oiling unnecessary. If problems occur, such as difficulty turning the hand wheel or an unusual noise, immediately stop using the machine and contact your authorized brother dealer or the nearest brother authorized service center. Don't oil your SE 1900. Now, those of you that have, and me, because I have a Genome, I don't know where my manual is for my Genome. I have to be honest, it's got to be packed somewhere, but I can find it online. I would venture to say most of our home machines, sewing slash embroidery machines, are not supposed to be oiled by us, the consumer. Now, when you have it serviced, and they do still recommend you get those machines serviced annually as well, that's when they get cleaned up. They do it just like they do the big machine, take the stuff off of it, clean it up, and give it the oiling that it needs. Do not oil it yourself, because like I said, Jeanette from Baroque Sewing and Craft, most of us watch her as well, says she was oiling her machine. I don't know where she got that information from, who told her to do it, but she was oiling her machine down at the bobbin, and all of that oil was dripping down into the bottom of the machine. And when Justin came and took all the stuff off, it was soaked down there. She just said it was just full of oil, which could have ruined that machine completely. So I'm reading it from the manual. It's not coming from me. It's coming from them, the book, the manual. This is their gospel, not mine. You don't do that. The main thing that they tell you to do is the very same thing that they tell you to do with the 10 needle machine. Is almost exactly the same. They want you to make sure you clean the bobbin area, you remove the bobbin case, clean the area, and remove any of the lint or thread debris, any of that. You clean the hook area, same thing down there, and don't do any oiling unless your manual tells you to. With the SE 1900, it tells you not to. You replace your needles regularly to make sure that your stitching is precise. You check the tension regularly, which you have to do anyway with those machines because it's right there on the LCD panel. It's easy to switch and adjust, no problem. And then, of course, you update your software as required when you are notified. And then you do general cleaning, wiping down the exterior, keeping the dirt and dust off. They recommend that you keep it covered when it's not in use. I'm very bad at that. And they also recommend the exact same thing with the big machine. You clean it up, you keep it dust free, you wipe it down with just a cloth or gentle non-abrasive soap to keep it clean and everything. And they do recommend you keep it covered. I don't keep mine covered. My husband says I should, but I don't. I might start, I don't know, but I use mine practically every day. So, but it is getting dust, and I have to dust it. Your thread gets dusted, the area gets dusted, everything gets dusted. So dusty. So keeping it covered is not a bad idea. But if you have machines that are just sitting around, if they don't have a dust cover that came with it, I recommend that you get one. I have to get a couple of them and do better with that, keeping it clean, because that part I'm very lax on. And so I said that will go for any single needle machine that you have. Those of you that have the higher end brands like the Luminaire and Solaris and Avenires and Radiance and all of the real fancy dancy single needle machines, I'm sure the maintenance information is in the manual. It may even pop up on your screen. I don't know. I do know that back to multi-needle machines, I know this for a fact because I've seen it. The Bernina, the new 16 needle Bernina that came out last year or first part of this year, I believe, and the Melco, both of those machines will tell you on the LCD panel what your daily, weekly, and annual maintenance is and when it's due. I like that a lot. Now we do get the message to oil our machine daily, which is basically all you have to do is oil it and keep it lint free and brush it up and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that's similar to those other two machines I mentioned, Bernina and the Melco, but those are considered commercial machines, and those are the machines that you don't take in to get service. You pretty much do the service on your own at home, and I'm sure it's a lot more that you have to do over and above what those of us that happen to have the brother machines and the baby lock 10 needle machine, because they do have to be oiled. I mean, it's oiling, greasing, lubricant. It's big stuff that they have to buy to keep those maintained because they are meant to be used constantly. They're really built to be run 24 hours a day if necessary. So they require a lot more maintenance than we normally would have to do with our machine because in the even though we may not like to admit this, but I think I read, because I glanced through this book today. I look at my manual because I have a video back in Florida when I first started doing this, and I was talking about those of us that don't like to read our manuals, that we really need to use our manuals, and we really do need to use our manuals. It's not something that you have to look at on a daily basis, but you do need to know where it is, and you need to know what's in it. Daniel, Daniel told my you're gonna make me break out my manual. Well, that's what I did. I keep my manual up on my with other books that I have so I can reach and get them right away because stuff happens. But I'm trying to find out. I looked at it. I don't know exactly. It was somewhere towards the front, if I'm not mistaken, where it pretty much says that our machines are not commercial machines, which we know that. Um, it says something along that line. So brother does they will tell us it's a semi-commercial machine. Um, they try to make us think that you can do big time businesses and stuff with it, which you can. Um, but again, it is not. It's not a Racoma 1500. It's not a mail code. What is that? EX, MX, or whatever that 16. And then the newest one that they got, the Summit, is not the Bernina new one that came out. It's not a Tajima. It's not a SWF. It's not a what all of those big time machines that we know are specifically commercial machines. It is considered semi-commercial, so you don't have to do the same thing with our 10 needle machines that those people that have the true commercial machines have to do. Those are big rugged machines that are built to do a lot of work, and they do it well. Most of them do it very well. But you also have to understand that the expectation is that you will be doing your own maintenance to it. You are the service tech. You have to learn. I remember when Eve from the Baby's Booty first got her red line. her 15 needle red line. And she was telling us about the big toolbox that she got and all of the instructions and stuff. And she literally has to maintain her own machine. She take it apart, fix it, whatever. That's the expectation when you have those true commercial machines. So as far as oiling and changing parts and all of those kinds of things, those are things that are expected when you have those kinds of machines. Those of us that have our 10 needle baby locks and 10 needle brother machines don't have to do those things. And it has a whole lot of bells and whistles and stuff like that. But on the flip side, we don't have to do the fixing. But when something breaks or something changes, we got to get somebody to fix it for us. We can't do it. They don't want us to take not one screw off of that machine or you can void your warranty. They don't want you to do it. Some people do it, but do it at your own risk because you can void your warranty. And I need to get clarification on it because I know that lady told me because I spoke to her on the phone about something. And I asked about the warranty, and I'm almost certain she told me it's only a year warranty for parts and labor. And then the motor has like 25 years and something else has 5 years or whatever. But parts and labor is only a year, and that ain't nothing. That year been gone for me. Everything else is on you. But as I was saying, getting ready for the new year coming up, give your machine a quick check on your own. Make sure everything is working properly. I noticed that there's an issue that I have with my machine as well, and I don't know if anybody else has this issue, which really irritates me that I'll have to ask Justin about. Hi, Arlene. Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate you stopping by and saying hi to everybody. And if you want to catch up and everything, you can always watch the replay. No problem. No problem at all. Thank you so much for stopping by. Um, my machine, has anybody had an issue with when you trying to trace that you get this message saying inappropriate needle placement and it won't trace? Has anybody had that? Sometimes when I'm trying to trace, if I have, because I use Mighty Hoop exclusively, basically. So you have to trace. If you use any aftermarket hoop, you have to trace. If you're using a brother hoop, you don't have to trace, but I still recommend that you do. That's just me. But the machine recognizes all brother hoops. So you don't have to trace, but they do still say you should trace. But if you use an aftermarket hoop, such as a Mighty Hoop, Hoop Tech, um, Fast Frame, Durkee Frame, any of those things, you have to trace. If you don't want to really damage your machine, you have to trace. And so you put your thing on, you set all your parameters and stuff, and then you hit the trace button, and it won't trace. It comes up inappropriate needle placement. If anybody had that, because I get that not all the time, but I do get it. And it just gets on my nerves. And I think I kind of know why. Because when I'm trying to stitch close to the edge with a small area is usually when that comes up. And so I'm always trying to come up with a way to make that message go away in the trace because I usually can get it to work, but it still just irritates me. So I know I got to talk to Justin about that to see if that is normal, and if it is normal, why does it happen? So maybe I can do something so it won't happen. But it will not trace. I get this mess inappropriate needle placement, and then you want to continue the trial, and if you hit yes, it still won't trace, and then you got to cancel it, and then you go in and try it again. You get the same error message, and then I'll usually just go all the way out back to edit, and then go into another area, knowing good and well I'm not going to change anything, and then go back, and then it'll trace. So something somewhere, the machine is thinking this is out of alignment. The needle is out of alignment, and I'm looking at the needle. The needle is not misaligned. They're all even across and everything. And I'm like, what is this inappropriate needle placement? What does that mean? Am I the only one that has ever seen that or had that to happen to them when they're tracing? And if you have had that happen to you, what did you do to rectify it? Because, like I said, I have had that happen to me numerous of times. Not all the time, but on several occasions. It isn't just a once in a while. Well, it is once in a while, but it does happen. It does happen, and it irritates because I like for everything to run smoothly. I don't like all of this guessing game stuff, but you do have to do a whole lot of guessing game with when you're doing embroidery sometimes. Um, so nobody, I guess nobody's commenting, so I would have to assume no one has had this issue other than me. So maybe it's something that I'm not doing right. I don't know, but I don't know. But like you were saying, Danielle, get your manual out for all of your machines, and if you don't do anything else, look at your maintenance area. Look at that chapter and just kind of peruse through it and check and make sure that you know everything that you should be doing routinely for your machine. I also looked at Surger because I had the Baby Lock Celebrate Surger. And I said, okay, what do you do for maintenance? Because I'm very unfamiliar with a Surger. This is the first Surger machine I've ever had, and I don't use it a lot, which isn't good. Uh, so it says regular cleaning, which you do with all your machines, and it tells you to unplug the machine before performing any maintenance, which is recommended for all your machines. Unplug it, turn it off, all of that. I don't do that, but that's what they tell you to do. Remove lint and dust from the machine, especially around the needle plate, feed dog, and loopers. Use a small brush or vacuum attachment. Clean the air threading system by blowing out any lint or debris with compressed air. Now, they are recommending that you use compressed air. Now, this is from um, the AI. I could not locate my manual, and I know it's somewhere. Excuse me. It's sitting, something is sitting on top of it. I know that because, like I just mentioned, all this stuff I got in here. It's in here, but I know I got something sitting on top of it, so I couldn't see it. And I wasn't digging through everything. But anyway, I don't know if the compressed air is a good thing or not, but since it is a looper and it's that threading and it goes all the way through, that may not be an issue. Now it gets to oiling. Oil the machine is recommended in the user manual, of course. Always follow your user manual's direction. Typically, you need to oil the moving parts, such as the needle bar and loopers. Use machine oil and apply a small amount. So you need to find out, I need to find out where it needs to be oiled. Number 3, needle maintenance. Change the needles regularly to ensure smooth stitching. Dull or bent needles can cause skip stitches or damage the fabric. And make sure you use the correct needle type and size for the fabric and thread. That holds true with all of your machine, your embroidery and your sewing machine. So always do that. Threading. Number 4. Follow the thread instruction carefully to avoid any issues. The Baby Lock Celebrate has an air threading system which makes threading the looper easier, and it does. I wouldn't even have a surgery if I didn't have that air threading mechanism, that airflow. That thing works wonders. You don't have to be fiddling around with that looper like you do with the old one. So it's just a put the thread in the right area and push the button, it just shoots through. So that makes it a whole lot easier to thread. Blade maintenance is number 5. Keep the blades sharp by cleaning them regularly. If the blades become dull, then they may need to be replaced. And number 6, which goes with all of our machines, cover the storage. Cover the machine when not in use to protect it from dust and debris. Store the machine in a dry, cool place to prevent any damage from humidity or temperature changes. Now, those are the only things that it came up with as far as maintaining your serger machine. So basically, what information I was able to find on all of the embroidery slash sewing slash serger machines are very much the same. Keeping it clean and dust free, get all the lint and debris and all that stuff out of the bobbin area. If you wanted to continue to stitch correctly, make sure your needles are not bent or dull, and that you're using the correct size needle for your project, for whatever thread or whatever material or fabric that you're using. You have to make sure you use the correct needle. If you're serging, you need a serger needle, serger thread. So you need to make sure that you're doing that. And do the oiling according to the manual. Usually the only place that we have to oil is in the bobbin area, except for the SE 1900. It specifically says no oiling, period. So don't even oil the bobbin area. No oiling is required. Just keep it clean. And check your tensions in case you need to adjust either the top or the bottom tension, whatever. And as Carol was saying a while back, not liking you looking for broken needle parts. I don't either. But that's something that you want to alleviate if at all possible, because you do not want that tip to fall off into the internal part of the machine and cause some craziness to happen, like what happened to me, because it can certainly stop your machine. If you think a piece of thread can stop your machine from stitching correctly, can give you bird nests, skip stitches, loose stitches, skipped stitches, all of that with just a piece of thread and some lint in the wrong place. Imagine what a whole tip of a needle can do, even if it's a small tip. That's how temperamental our needles are, our machines are. Just a little bitty small tip can just wreak havoc on our machines. So we don't want that to happen. But needles break. That's one reason why they do advise you to change your needles often. And I know some people have mentioned they don't change their needles until the needle breaks. If the needle doesn't break, it doesn't get changed. Don't do that. Don't do that. You need to change your needles out frequently, because that's the only way you can guarantee you're going to have some good stitching. Think about your scissors. Think about your rotary cutter. That's a better example. Your rotary cutter is only as good as the blade. This little thing here, what's the brand? Femora. Femora. I forgot where I got this from, but anyway, I like it. It's a good one. I have several, and it didn't dawn on me. That's why I have several of them. That the blades dull quickly, and they're expensive too. But when you are having trouble, because I already have issues cutting anyway, This is a titanium. It's a titanium blade. They're supposed to last a long time. I can tell just as good now when I need to change my blade because I'm just a cutting and it's slicing. It's just slicing so clean and looking so good and easy. And then all of a sudden, I got jagged edges. It won't go through and all that stuff. And then you start like, what's wrong with my doggone roller? It needs a new blade. That didn't. It took a minute for that to click. I'm thinking something wrong with the whole thing. It just needs a new blade. And you got to put the blade in correctly too. That's another thing I didn't know. There's a certain way those things go. The way you screw the thing on, you got to screw it on the way you take it off. So keep that in mind too, because I didn't know that either, because that'll mess everything up. But you got to keep these things going. You got to change. If that blade gets dull, you got to change the blade. I don't care if it costs money. If you want to be able to cut it like you cutting pie, like everything is just going smoothly and you're not having an issue, you got to keep your blades changed. Same thing with your needles. If you want it to stitch right, you got to keep your needles changed. You can't just let it stay in there until it breaks. You really don't want your needle to break while it's in your machine. You really don't. That is not something you want to happen because you do not want that little tip to get somewhere it doesn't need to be. So, if for no other reason than that, check on your needles and change them frequently. I know Jeanette says she changes hers, and I know she does a lot of stitching, so it makes sense. She changes her needles 8 hours, every 8 hours. And I know lots of people that do commercial stitching is what they do. They change their needles every 8 hours. So they're changing their needles every day. Every day you changing 10, 15, 20 needles, however many um, bars you have. I don't change mine that frequently because I don't do that much stitching, but I do change my needles often. I keep a record. That little book that Jeanette sent out last year for Christmas is what I use to keep my needle changing record in. And I would put down what needle I changed and the date if I don't change them all at the same time. Here lately, I've been changing them all at the same time because I've been doing a lot of stitching with a lot of different colors and using up the needles. And I can't remember if I stitched more on needle 4 and 5 than I did on 6 and 7. And even though I use 6 and 7, but I use 4 and 5 more, I can't remember all that. That's just too much. I can't keep that straight. So if I know that I'm using all of my needles on a daily basis at some period of time, and usually I am, because usually I'm stitching something that requires at least 10, anywhere from 5 to 10 plus colors. That means I'm using all of my needles at some point. I started changing all of my needles at the same time, unless something happens. Like I know for a fact, I've been using a lot of black. I've been using a lot of red. I've been using a lot of white. That I know those needles are being used more than the other ones. So those three needles may get changed more regularly than the other ones. But I still write it down. I write down the date and the needle size, whether it's a ballpoint or sharp and or a metallic or a leather, whatever needle that I put in there. I put that down because I do use different needles for my different threads. If I use metallic thread, usually I put metallic. If I use vinyl material, I will use a vinyl or leather needle. Um, they got quilting needles if you're doing your quilting. So there's all kinds of different needles out there that are specific to your project. And you really need to make sure that you have a variety of needles. Just don't get just all 7511s. You need all different sizes, 7511, 65 9s. You need some 8012, 116. I have all of those. I have a collection of all those different sizes. You can get the package with the multi sizes in it, or you can just get single packages of different sizes, which is what I normally do, and just have them however you keep your needles. And so when that need arises, you have the needle that you need where you can change it out. If you're doing any type of lettering and you're using small letters, then you definitely need a 65-9 needle. You need 60 weight thread top and bottom. And if you're using automatic threader, you do not use your automatic threader for that needle. Do not automatically thread a needle that is a 65-9 that can mess your machine up. So those are the things that you need to remember about that. But I do have that, and you do need to be using 60 weight thread if you're using a 65-9 needle. If you're using a heavier weight thread like a 12 or a 15 for some project, then you need a much bigger needle. You need an 80-20, um, 80-20, 80-12, 90-14, 116. Those are the sizes that you need. And it's interesting. I didn't know that until the other day when I was looking up needles and we did a little talk on that. Those two numbers represent, one is U.S. and one is uh, British or whatever overseas. I didn't realize it, and I don't remember which is which. I think the smaller number is the U.S. and the larger number is the English version or the British version or whatever. That's why they have the two different sizes on there, 75-11, 65-9, so forth and so on. I didn't know that until I was looking it up because I always wonder what do those two numbers mean. But that's what it is because those needles are universal. And if you're in the US or if you're overseas, then that's what those numbers are representing for the people that do that. So because I've heard people say, why you size 11 needle? And I'm like, what's an 11 needle? But they mean a 75-11 because 11 needles US. 75 is overseas, and so it's a 75-11 is what I call it. But for us, it is actually 11 needle because that's how that's our U.S. stuff. In case you guys didn't know that, that's a little trivia for you. So you guys have been really, really quiet tonight. I haven't gotten a whole lot of comments. Everybody's going to sleep, or everybody's working, trying to get their stuff together for Christmas. Um, So Alone Crew, we will be meeting tomorrow night. Get started on our next project. So hopefully everybody will be able to chime in tomorrow night. If not, let me know. That you know, it is what it is. Also, I just wanted to give a heads up because of the holidays coming up, there will be no live naturally on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, which both of those are on Tuesday. So there will be no live on Christmas Eve the 24th. There will be no live on New Year's Eve the 31st. So just want to give you guys a heads up on that in case you're wondering, asking. No, ma'am, it won't be a live because I know y'all ain't gonna show up, and I don't know what I'm gonna be doing either. But it doesn't matter. There will be no live those 2 days, and there will be obviously no so along on Christmas Day or on uh, New Year's Day. Gee, so you were listening while it's eating and check. No problem. I know I do the same thing. Trust and believe me, I do. I try to participate when I listen to other people live, but sometimes I don't get a chance to do anything but say hi. And then I listen for the rest unless a question comes up or something that I want to comment on. So I do know that you don't always, have to put anything or make a comment. It does make the conversation go um, um, become more informative, I guess, if people chime in, ask questions, or make comments and statements and stuff, because I do respond to that. but I do understand that nobody's just sitting around watching me. it's there's too much to be done in this world to just sit and watch me because I know, like I said, unless I'm in bed, and that's usually when it's not live, that I'll watch, you know, um, Jeanette or whomever I'm watching, and but if I'm watching a live, um, I try to be, like I said, interactive, but I don't always make a lot of comments either because I'm listening and I'm doing other stuff. So I am I understand perfectly, but it is helpful when there are comments and questions. And also, thumbs up, please, thumbs up. It's coming up to the end of the year, and I know I had asked a specific request of everybody to help me make my goal by the end of the year, and I'm hoping it's going to occur because when I asked that question, I think I needed about 71, some 73, 71, some odd subscribers before hitting 2,000. I've gotten quite a few subscribers. I'm still not there yet. So I still need people to subscribe. So if you're listening and you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's going to be so helpful because when I hit that 2,000 um, mark, then there will be another giveaway, and I don't know what it's going to be. And then Jenny, if you have you been able to spend your gift cards yet? And if you have you made anything? Let us know. I'm excited to know what you did with it. I don't know what the next giveaway gift is going to be. I'm not going to tell you even if I knew, but it will be something nice. And when I hit that 2,000 mark, so I need about what is about 49, 48 more subscribers. So I've gotten quite a bit. I've come from 70 down there. That's also it's moving, but it needs to keep on moving because I'm hoping it'll happen before the end of the year. So I got the rest of this month to get right around 50 people. So like I said, if you're out here in YouTube land, Facebook land, wherever, and you watch me, but you just haven't hit the button because you don't think about it, you forget or whatever, I would appreciate it if you would hit the notification bell, give me a thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button so I can hit that 2,000 mark before the end of the year. That's my goal. And then I'll be setting new goals every so often. There will be new goals to reach. And every time I reach a goal, then there will be a giveaway. That is my plan. And hopefully we'll be able to have a lot of giveaways next year. But I want to be able to do at least one more before the end of the year. So you guys chime on in and get me um, get those numbers in there. And yes, okay, I got your message, Danielle. And thank you, Jenny. Appreciate it. And Robin, you started your Elster gift yesterday. You started it. I've already mailed mine, girl. I've mailed mine and it's been delivered. I'm free. I got that out the way because I knew I had other stuff I had to do. So I had to do my checkoffs. I have to do my checkoffs, child. Because if I and I'm still not where I need to be because I got stuff going on. Got stuff going on. What can I say? But I try to be on point and get things done in a timely manner. I keep having people, namely family, bringing me stuff that they want me to do that wasn't in my plan. Oh, okay. I need to still pick my free embroidery. I look, but so many there are, and they're on sale, girl. Get them sales. I don't know what it is, and I understand because they have so many things that are so pretty. If I bought everything that I liked, I'd be totally broke. And I was on looking at because I get email from the folks all the time, and I think Embroidery Library has a sale every day now, every day. And you go and look, and I say, oh, this is cute, this is cute, this is cute. And then you realize, I don't need that, I don't need that, I don't need that. So didn't get anything, don't want to get anything. I got enough. Got enough Christmas, I got enough everything. And I looked on Designed by Juju because they send me stuff every day. They have sales all the time. They got their new bundle out. Now you got to spend $30. Used to have to spend $25. Now they're going up to $30 to do the bundle, but that bundle's looking a little bit better because their bundle includes, um, if you've seen their cute little pot holders that they had with the gingerbread man, the snowman, the Santa Claus, and somebody else. It's four of them. Can't remember what the four are. Which I got those in their pot holders. I got those. Then I saw the bundle and they had those up again. I said, oh, now you're giving it away as a bundle. But then I realized they're not bundles, they're coasters. But the coasters look just like those cute little pot holders that they're selling. And I said, oh, that's cute. Then they have the bottle covers, like the Santa Claus bottle, the snowman, and I think it's reindeer or whatever. Anyway, and I said, oh, those are so cute, but they're bundles. I don't know if you can just buy them separate, and they want you to spend $30 to get the bundle. Then the rest of the bundle, there ain't nothing I want. Because I said, I just want those. I don't want all that other stuff that you got that they're gonna give you, and I don't want to spend $30. So I probably won't be getting that bundle, which is fine because I don't want nor need all the other stuff that they got in the bundle, and I'm not trying to spend no $30 on no design. So, but anyway, Designed by Juju has their new bundle out, and they have a lot of stuff in there that's cute. And of course, like you said, embroidery library, they've been doing, and what is the Urban Thread? They've been doing their 75% off and 70% off and 65% off and all of that stuff for the longest. And every day I turn around, I'm getting emails from them. And this past um, coming up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and today is what is it? Tuesday. Saturday was a small business. If I haven't gotten 400-500 emails, I didn't get one. I was constantly dumping my email, constantly. Everybody in the world was sending me emails. Buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. It's on sale, it's on sale, it's on sale. I'm like, y'all need to quit. Really. Carol, my real workload just got double for December, so I have no idea when I can stitch anything up. Christmas blessing and a curse. True, true, true. It is. It's a blessing and a curse because it's a blessing to get people that want to buy stuff from you, give you some money, but then it works you. It really works you. And if you're trying to do the work and the gifts and work it in your time frame, it gets to be a little complicated, to say the least. But this is what we've chosen to do. This is what we've chosen to. I think even those of us that don't do any type of selling, it gets overwhelmed in December because I would assume many of us make gifts because that's what we do. And I personally, I guess that's why I don't do the mall thing anymore. I'm just comfortable with that. I rather now, hopefully they want it, but I like making things and giving them. And just not for the heck of making something. I try to make something I think they're going to use or want or something like that. I do. Everybody can wear a shirt and everybody can wear a hoodie or, something like that. Everybody can use, dish towels and pot holders and, those things can be used. Hopefully they will. I know my girlfriend, oh, this is so cute. This is cute. I'm not going to use it. Girl, that's what I got it for. That's what I made it for you to use. I'll make you another one next year. Go ahead and use it. That's how I made it. Yeah, it's cute. It's supposed to be cute. That's the whole point. But you are supposed to use it. If you want that exact same one, I can make you another one next year. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I like to give people things they can use and that they want. That's just my thing. And it's not always easy because you don't always know what it is that they want, even though you think it's something that they need. Hi, SK. How are you? Good evening. This has been very informative. Does the needle size depend on the thread or the embroidery material? Both. Both. Um, the material is both. That's I'm sorry. That's the answer to the question because it depends upon your thread. If you're using thicker thread, like I mentioned, if you're using 60 weight thread, if you're using a bigger weight thread like a 12, 15, something like that, then you need size appropriate. If you're using metallic thread, if you're using stuff like that. So, yes, the size. Then, if you're doing delicate materials, or if you're doing vinyl or leather, or if you're doing velvet, if so it's both. What I use and recommend and um, several people have this. Let me see. There we go. Embroidery compass by Dime. This is a little compass wheel that you can get from Dime or you can get it off of Amazon, and it is um, it's your personal guide for choosing the best stabilizer and needle for your fabric. So it has an arrow that will point to the fabric. The fabric is set at the arrow. Then it's a little hole or a little cutout right where my finger is. If the arrow is here, whereas the arrow is there, that's where the fabric is. And then down here is a cutout and it tells you, and you can turn the wheel. You can turn the wheel. You see me turning the wheel and set it on the fabric that you want. And it will tell you what size needle you want for the needle size, the needle type for your fabric. Like caps. I'm looking at this one says fabric is caps. Stabilizer, heavyweight or extra heavyweight cap backing. And then the needle suggested is an extra slim ballpoint or universal needle or a sharp needle. And the sizes that they suggest are either 80-12, 85-13, or 90-14. And then the comment is frame cap with backing, supports crown of the cap, reducing shifting and adding crispness, help regulate the bobbin tension. So that's how you do it. Here's one for a sweatshirt. It says recommended stabilizers is no show mesh or medium cutaway. Water soluble topping is optional. Then for the needle, it has a light ballpoint needle and a size 7511 needle. So it's a ballpoint 7511 needle. And comment hoop with no show mess for small designs or medium cutaway for larger design area. Water soluble topping will give cleaner edges on heavily ribbed fleece. Hoop all layers. So that's what this embroiderer's compass is. It runs you around 20, anywhere from $20 to $25, depending upon where and when you buy it. But it is extremely helpful. Extremely helpful. Hopefully, you will look and try to get this because it is a lifesaver. It has just about every different fabric. You can think of it on here: broadcloth, which is quilting cotton, natural leather, thin or fragile, natural leather, thick or spongy, vinyl, sheer or transparent, sheer fabric, opaque, knits, all of that, all the way around. It's a different fabric, and then as you turn the wheel, it suggests the stabilizer and the needle size. Hopefully that's helpful. It's a lifesaver. It's well worth the money. I think every embroiderer should have one of those or something like it. If you have Embrilliance, and I'm sure other software does this as well, because I think Hatch does too. I know that I've seen Hatch, but Embrilliance does have a fabric guide in their software where there's an icon up on the toolbar that you can select and put in what fabric you're going to do this particular design on, and it will tell you what kind of needle and fabric. It will do the same thing the compass does. So that's something that is helpful. And the more you do this, use it, the more you will know automatically when you get a job or a project what you need. And that's why I highly recommend that you get a array of needles. Don't just get 7511 ballpoints or sharp. You need several different sizes and several different kinds, because if you do different things, then you definitely need different needles. And that's why you need a log as well, where you can log down, put in there what needle is in what. If you have a multi-needle machine, if you got a single needle machine, you don't have to do that because you know what needles you got in there. But if you have a multi-needle machine, you may have certain needles on certain numbers, and you need to know where that is, because that's what that particular needle is for, is on that particular number. So hopefully that makes sense to you, and hopefully that is helpful to you. And yes, Jenny, things are made to be used. That's why you make them. So you can use them. Like my coaster that you made and gave me, I set my wine on it. So I don't have to worry about, because I'm sitting it on top of my cutting table, so I don't have to worry about any staining it. So I use my coaster, so it is meant to be used, and I thank you for it, because I love stuff like that. I use it. I got something from um, Taisha. She sent me something to catch my threads and stuff at my sewing machine. It's sitting right over there in my sewing machine. I use my stuff. And hopefully the things that we give to other people, they use them as well. Oh yes, Jenny, I love them. I fell in love with them when I saw that you made them for Jeanette. And I think I told you, I looked up the to try to find the design, because I thought they were so cute. And that the one that you did for her husband with the beer, that looked like a beer thing, a beer mug. Oh my goodness. I said, those are so cute. But anyway, I'm looking at the clock. It is 10:05. If anybody doesn't have any more statements, comments, questions, or whatever, I am going to say good night to everybody. Thank you for stopping by. I will see you, if it's the Lord's will, next Tuesday. And look on my channel starting, what's tomorrow? Wednesday, starting Thursday. I know I haven't posted anything on my YouTube channel in a while. Hadn't forgotten about it. Just anyway, there will be some postings put up. I'm working on them now. And so I'm doing the 12 days of Christmas. Everybody's doing it. And I know Jeanette's doing hers. I will be doing mine. These are gift ideas. And I will be doing 12 different gift ideas, but I'm doing the ones that I think are quick and simple and easy to get done. like that are useful, because I believe in, like I said, useful things. And so I will be putting those up running for the next 12 days. So look for those on my YouTube channel, and I will see you guys next week. You guys take care. Thank you so much. Have a blessed rest of your week, and I will see the Sew Along crew tomorrow night. You guys take care. Good night.